No one believes this was a coincidence, that on the same day, the FBI produced a document that showed they've been sitting on allegations of a Biden bribery for years.
In June 2023, an unclassified FBI document was made public. It outlined an alleged criminal scheme connected to Joe Biden.
You won't find anything. Well, here's what we found when we gained access to the suspicious activity reports on the Bidens.
What exact details did it reveal about the Biden family's business dealings? And what other secrets might the U.S. government be hiding? As James Comer just revealed U.S. government final secret, the mystery deepens. The quest for corruption evidence. James Comer and his Republican colleagues have been relentless in their criticism of President Biden. They have been going after him for a while now over allegations that his family members used the Biden name to score some shady business deals.
Most of which were created when Joe Biden was vice president. And for anyone who doesn't understand what a shell company is,
Since 2020, they have been pushing for inquiries, particularly regarding Hunter Biden. It is suspected that Hunter was involved in corrupt activities, like trading influence for money, and they believe there is a possibility he shared some of that money with his dad. They aim to prove that Joe Biden either had a role in or at least benefited from Hunter's activities. In response,
Look at me. Look at me, Dad. Give me your word as a Biden.
Joe Biden has consistently maintained that he was unaware of his son's business dealings overseas, and he had not been involved in them. However, on September 12, 2023, Kevin McCarthy, who was the Speaker of the House at the time, made an announcement. There would be an impeachment inquiry into President Biden. This inquiry was handled by several House committees, including Judiciary, Oversight, and Ways and Means. James Comer led the charge. That same year, Comer and some Republicans began showing bank records, which they argued was proof that members of President Biden's family had inappropriately benefited from his position of power. But even with these records in hand, Comer and his crew couldn't find any concrete evidence that tied Joe Biden directly to these dealings during his vice presidency under Obama. Still, Comer promised to keep digging.
I mean, look, Joe Biden's rich to talk about presidential immunity.
Determined to uncover more. What they did find in those bank records were some payments to Biden family members, including Hunter. These payments came from foreign nationals. One of these was from a Chinese energy company. They claimed that Biden family members, but not Joe himself, pocketed millions from foreign nationals who routed the money through various other entities. And some of these payments, interestingly enough, lined up with Joe Biden's tenure as vice president, which ended in January 2017. There was also some buzz about a favor Hunter Biden might have done for Vuk Jeremic, a former Serbian politician and United Nations official. It is believed that Jeremic is an associate of Hunter Biden, and that he tried to get Hunter to help him out with his campaigns to become the United Nations Secretary General back. This was at the time when Joe Biden was the vice president. The committee investigating Joe Biden got their hands on an email from June 2016. In it, Jeremic asked Hunter if he could arrange a meeting with Colin Kahl, who was Joe Biden's national security advisor at the time. A couple of weeks after that, Jeremic sent another email where he hinted that he had managed to meet with Kahl. He then revealed in the email that the vice president's office didn't have much sway over the United Nations election. Now here's where it gets a bit more tangled. Just a year before all that, a Chinese company called State Energy HK paid $3 million to an institute tied to Jeremic. The payment was made in 3 installments. Then, the year after Joe Biden left office, the same Chinese company sent another $3 million to Robinson Walker LLC. This was a company run by Rob Walker, who is known to be close to Hunter Biden. And, wouldn't you know it, some of that money, about $1 million, ended up in the pockets of Biden family members. This whole situation has led some people to think that international figures like Jeremic might have been turning to Hunter Biden just because of who his father was. Even though there's still no clear proof directly linking President Joe Biden to any of this, Comer isn't backing down. He expressed the belief that the president had been involved from the very start.
With respect to term limits, I mean, Joe Biden's been in politics since before I was born.
The Burisma allegations. As the investigation into Joe Biden and his alleged corruption kept going, another story came to light. There was talk about a document that supposedly showed that the FBI had looked into a criminal scheme. This involved a foreign national and Joe Biden when he was vice president. You see, the information about the existence of the document had been revealed by a whistleblower from the FBI. The individual had shared it with Senator Chuck Grassley, a Republican from Iowa and a former chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee. With this, Senator Grassley decided to dig deeper. He joined forces with James Comer, and together they issued a subpoena to push the FBI to make this record public. By June 2023, an unclassified FBI document was released. It described an alleged criminal scheme involving Joe Biden. Grassley obtained this record, known as an FD 1023, through disclosures that were legally protected by Justice Department whistleblowers. The document claimed that an Ukrainian business executive had been involved in the scheme. The information from the FBI's source revealed that executives at Burisma, a gas company in Ukraine, had brought Hunter Biden onto their board. The executives believed that having Hunter on their side would protect them from various problems. At that time, Burisma was seeking to expand its operations into the United States. However, it was entangled in a corruption investigation in Ukraine, led by the then prosecutor, General Viktor Shokin. The document stated that Burisma's CEO, Mykola Zlochevsky, had reassured others not to worry, and that Hunter would handle these matters through his father. Zlochevsky also allegedly said that he had to pay $5 million each to Hunter Biden and Joe Biden. He described this payment using the term "получили." This is a Russian slang word for being forced or coerced to pay, as noted in the document. Zlochevsky said he had several text messages and recordings that showed he was forced into paying the Bidens to make sure Shokin was fired. He claimed he had 2 recordings with Joe Biden and 15 recordings with Hunter Biden. Zlochevsky also kept 2 documents, which were likely financial records, to prove the deal happened. He mentioned that he didn't send any money directly to the big guy, a phrase believed to refer to Joe Biden. This term, big guy, had come up before in other conversations about different Biden family business deals, not just the one with Burisma. It seemed that Biden might have acted under the influence of the alleged bribe. In December 2015, Biden warned the Ukrainian president, Petro Poroshenko, that he would block $1 billion in United States aid unless Viktor Shokin was fired. Shokin was eventually removed from his position on March 29, 2016. According to the document, Zlochevsky also said it would take investigators 10 years to find the hidden payments to the Bidens, Biden's secret emails, and Hunter's laptop. Back in October 2020, there was quite a stir over some data from a laptop that was said to belong to Hunter Biden.
Of course, certainly. There could be a laptop out there that was stolen from me.
A guy named John Paul Mac Isaac, who ran a repair shop in Delaware, said that someone walked in and dropped off the laptop. The person claimed to be Hunter Biden. However, Mac Isaac, who is visually impaired, confessed that he couldn't be entirely certain if the person was really Hunter Biden. Just 3 weeks before the 2020 United States presidential election, something unexpected happened. The New York Post came out with a headline story based on the findings from the laptop. The article alleged that the emails discovered on the laptop showed evidence of corruption involving Joe Biden. Now, just to remind you, Joe Biden claimed he never discussed his son's foreign business dealings. However, some emails from the laptop hinted at a different story. It suggested that Joe Biden once met Vadim Pozharsky, an advisor on the board of Burisma. These emails indicated that the meeting occurred in 2015 during a dinner at Cafe Milano in Washington, D.C. There was quite a bit of debate about whether this meeting actually took place. Joe Biden's campaign team denied any such meeting happened. They also noted that the New York Post had never reached out to them to confirm the details of the story. Now, a man named Rick Leach was one of the attendees at the dinner. He came out to share his story. According to him, the dinner was focused on topics like food security, not politics or business. Leach mentioned that Joe Biden only briefly stopped by the dinner to greet Alex Karloutzos, who has been a close friend of Joe Biden for many years. According to Leach, Joe Biden didn't even sit down and wasn't involved in any part of the dinner or its discussions. Karloutzos confirmed Leach's version of events, backing up his account of what happened. Hunter Biden's former business partner, Devon Archer,
that Devon Archer never said that he saw his business partner talk with,
gave testimony that seemed to paint a quite different picture. He explained that Joe Biden had attended at least 2 dinners with Hunter's foreign business associates. He also mentioned that Joe often spoke with Hunter over the phone, even while Hunter was in meetings with these foreign contacts. However, Archer also insisted that the conversations never involved business matters. He said they were usually about harmless topics, like the weather or other casual subjects. But according to Archer, there were up to 20 times when Hunter put his father on speakerphone during meetings with business associates.
Also, as we speak, here comes Devin Archer. Let's just go over here and see if we can get a word with Devin Archer as he walks into the building. Mr. Archer, what do you intend to tell the...
Archer explained that these calls usually happen because Hunter spoke to his dad every day. However, he claimed that he never saw Hunter and Joe discuss the details of Hunter's business deals. Hunter Biden himself spoke about at least one instance where Joe Biden mentioned his involvement with the Ukrainian energy company, Burisma. According to Hunter, his dad once told him that he hoped Hunter knew what he was doing, and Hunter replied that he did. These details revealed by Archer and Hunter seemed to add a layer of complexity to the story. It left many wondering what these conversations really meant and whether they were as innocent as claimed. Now, data from the recovered laptop also showed another interesting detail about Joe Biden's time as vice president. It turned out that he used several private email addresses, ones that weren't known to the public. Through these, he would sometimes send and receive government messages. This came to light when Hunter Biden's abandoned laptop was examined closely.
Was that your laptop?
For real, I don't know.
I know, but you
my
know
point
that
is,
this
I
is
really don't know
Okay.
the answer.
Some of these email addresses had odd names. Robin Ware, Robert L. Peters, and J.R.B. Ware were just a few of the pseudonyms Joe Biden used. Emails under these names mixed both his official duties and family matters. A White House official explained why this happened. They said Biden used these private names and email accounts for security reasons. It was a way to keep hackers or others trying to fill up the vice president's inbox from easily guessing his email address. It was meant to keep things safe and secure. But James Comer pointed to an email from May 27, 2016 that seemed concerning. The email, sent by a White House aide, had Joe Biden's schedule for the day. It was sent to an address under the name Robert L. Peters that Biden used, along with Hunter Biden's email. Comer thought this was suspicious. He suggested that the email might show Biden was sharing details with his son about a meeting he was going to have with Ukraine's president. This meeting might have been connected to Hunter Biden's role on the board of Burisma Holdings. Comer also noted that Hunter and his business partners seemed to know about Joe Biden's government duties in countries where they had business interests. Looking closely at Biden's schedule for that day, it did show a planned phone call with Ukraine's president Petro Poroshenko. The White House had said this call was about the release of a Ukrainian pilot who was being held in Russia. But the schedule also mentioned something more personal, Biden's plans to go back to his lakefront home in Wilmington. This was around the time when the Biden family was coming together for the first anniversary of Beau Biden's death. All these little details seemed to raise eyebrows, suggesting there might be more beneath the surface. The timing and the overlap of personal and political activities made things seem a bit suspicious. Hidden deals and foreign funds. Now, Biden had used these different email aliases to communicate for a long time, specifically between 2010 and 2019. This communication was not only with his son, Hunter, but also with a man named Eric Schwerin. Schwerin was once Hunter's business partner. Digging deeper, there were about 54 emails sent only between Joe Biden and Schwerin. Schwerin was thought to be the mastermind behind what some called the Biden family's various shell companies. But what exactly were these shell companies? What were they really up to? To understand, let's look deeper. It was discovered that the Biden family had set up more than 20 shell companies and worked hard to hide payments coming from foreign sources. It seemed like a web of secrecy designed to keep things out of sight. 16 of these companies were limited liability companies, created while Joe Biden was vice president.
We've won with the most votes ever cast on a presidential ticket in the history of the nation.
Records showed that the Biden family, their business partners, and their companies took in over $10 million from foreign nationals and their related businesses. These payments came in while Biden was still in office and continued even after he stepped down. The way the money moved was also pretty complicated. Many of these payments started with foreign companies which went through the Biden family's business associates and finally ended up with the Bidens themselves. They were split up into smaller amounts and sent to different bank accounts. This seemed like a way to cover up where the money actually came from. According to James Comer, the committee chairman, at least 9 members of the Biden family received these payments. This list included Hunter Biden, James Biden, and his wife, Sarah Jones Biden. Even Hallie Biden, who was married to the late Beau Biden, got some of these funds. Hunter's ex-wife, Kathleen Boole, and his current wife, Melissa Cohen, were also named. Comer mentioned that 3 children from the families of the president's son and brother were also among those who received payments.
The President of the United States and why he lied to the American people about his knowledge and participation in his family's international business schemes.
A large portion of the money came from Chinese nationals and businesses linked to the Chinese Communist Party. Comer pointed out that China seemed to be the most significant among the countries where the Biden family was allegedly using its influence to gain benefits. The whole situation painted a picture of secretive dealings, money trails crossing borders, and connections. It raised more than a few eyebrows. It left people wondering just how deep these relationships went and what else might be hidden beneath the surface. But there's more to the story. On September 28, 2015, Joe Biden welcomed Romanian President Klaus Iohannis to the White House. Just 5 weeks after this meeting, a Romanian businessman named Gabriel Popoviciu came into the picture. He began depositing money into the bank account of one of Biden's associates. Now, one thing you should know is that Popoviciu was involved in a major corruption case in Romania. At that same time, Joe Biden was speaking out against corruption in Romania.
Corruption is a cancer that eats away at a citizen's faith in democracy.
Yet while he was giving those speeches, the Biden family was receiving over $1 million from a company controlled by Popoviciu. It was discovered that Popoviciu sent around $3 million in several payments to Robinson Walker LLC. This is a company managed by Rob Walker, another business partner of Hunter Biden. Walker then transferred about $1 million, sometimes routing it through his personal account into the accounts of Biden family members. Out of the 17 payments linked to this deal, 16 happened while Biden was still serving as vice president. According to James Comer, the money flow from Popoviciu stopped almost immediately after Joe Biden left office. House Republicans believe that all these transfers were designed to hide something, but they couldn't say exactly what that might be. They believed that the Bidens were trying to make money from influence peddling. However, it was not clear what kind of influence was being sold or what it achieved. Now it's time for today's subscriber's pick. The photo we are looking at shows Joe Biden and two former United States presidents, Barack Obama and Bill Clinton. They are standing together with smiles on their faces. They are in front of a group of people in the background who look cheerful. On the right side of the photo, there is a serious-looking image of James Comer. It's clear he is either on a live broadcast or part of a breaking news story. James Comer just revealed U.S. government final secret. What could this secret be? And why is it so important? Why is Comer's face so serious, while the three former presidents are smiling? This image makes us wonder what connection there could be between them and the secret Comer is revealing. Are they part of the story, or just there by coincidence? This photo raises many questions and makes us curious about what is going on behind the scenes. What do you think could be happening? What are your thoughts on the secrets of the government? Let us know what you think in the comments section. Hunter Biden's demands and the CEFC money trail. Earlier, we mentioned that China appeared to be the most significant among the countries where the Biden family allegedly used its influence to gain benefits. Now, let's go into the details of what went down in China concerning the Bidens. The story starts in July 2017, with Hunter Biden making a bold demand. On July 30th, Hunter sent a message to Raymond Zhao, a CEFC associate, insisting on a $10 million payment. He claimed his father, Joe Biden, was sitting right there with him. Hunter even warned that if the money wasn't delivered, the Biden network would turn against Zhao.
They know who my dad is. My dad doesn't have to defend me. My dad only has to love me. And my dad loves me.
CEFC was a huge Chinese energy company with ties to the Chinese Communist Party, and the Bidens had been working with them since Joe Biden was vice president. Just days after Hunter's demand, things started moving fast. A Chinese company tied to CEFC, called Northern International Capital, wired $5 million to Hudson West III LLC. This company was a joint venture set up by Hunter Biden and Gongwen Dong, another CEFC associate. Over the next 3 weeks, the Bidens made a series of complicated financial moves to hide the origin of this money from China. Here's how it all went down. First, Hudson West III transferred $400,000 to a business entity that Hunter Biden owned and controlled. From there, Hunter wired $150,000 to Lion Hall Group, a company owned by Joe Biden's brother James and his sister-in-law Sarah Biden. Not long after, Sarah Biden withdrew $50,000 in cash from Lion Hall Group. On the very same day, she deposited that money into her and James Biden's personal checking account. Then, just a few days later, Sarah wrote a check to Joe Biden for $40,000. The memo line on the check simply said, "Loan repayment." James Comer shared his thoughts on this complex web of transactions. He suggested that by taking funds from a company linked to the Chinese Communist Party, one that aimed to further China's interests, Joe Biden had exposed himself to potential blackmail in the future. Comer believed that this had placed America's interests in jeopardy putting them behind the Biden family's own financial gains. Now, if you thought that was the end of the story with the Bidens, you might want to think again. Joe Biden's alleged financial link to his brother's dealings. In October 2023, House Republicans unveiled new bank records connected to James Biden. These documents stirred up even more questions about whether President Joe Biden personally profited from his family's financial ventures. So, what exactly was found in these records? The bank documents, which were released by the GOP-led House Committee on Oversight and Accountability, revealed something interesting. They showed a personal check for $200,000 made out to Joe Biden from his brother, James Biden, and his sister-in-law, Sarah Biden. This check, marked as a loan repayment, was dated before Joe Biden took office as president. But here's where things get more curious. The check was issued in 2018, on the exact same day when AmeriCorps Health LLC wired $200,000 into James Biden's PNC bank account. For those who don't know, AmeriCorps Health LLC is a company managing rural hospitals across the United States now. This timing raised a lot of eyebrows. Some wondered if it was just a coincidence, or if there was something deeper going on. The transfer from AmeriCorps and the loan repayment to Joe Biden happened back to back. It almost seemed like one payment flowed right into the other. It was hard to ignore the close connection between these two transactions. What were the chances of that happening by mere accident? Well, it appeared to be no accident, as you would soon find out. James Comer didn't hold back in his remarks on this discovery. In a video statement, he asserted that Joe Biden's ability to be paid back by his brother,
That is a fact. Yet Joe Biden refuses to acknowledge the fact.
Was directly tied to what he called the success of his family's shady financial dealings. He implied that Joe Biden's financial position was somehow linked to these transactions. AmeriCorps Health LLC filed for bankruptcy in 2022. In the filing, they claimed that James Biden received several large loans from the company. The total amounted to hundreds of thousands of dollars. According to AmeriCorps, these loans were given because James Biden promised that his last name could open doors. He hinted that he might secure a big investment from the Middle East, relying on his family's political connections. His name alone, he seemed to suggest, could carry a lot of weight in certain circles. But things did not go as planned. When AmeriCorps Health later filed a lawsuit for non-payment, James Biden eventually agreed to settle the dispute. The settlement reached was a hefty payment of $350,000. This agreement seemed to bring some resolution, but it also raised more questions about the nature of the dealings. James Biden's attorney, Paul Fishman, pushed back against the GOP-led panel's description of the $200,000 check that was issued to Joe Biden. Fishman argued that the committee's interpretation was not just selective, but also misleading.
They have an obligation to report that to the DEA. McKesson knew that.
He insisted that the committee had access to bank documents that showed both the loan James had received from Joe Biden in January 2018. These documents, he claimed, also showed the check for repayment that was sent back 6 weeks later. He stated firmly that at no point did James involve his brother Joe in any of his business dealings. Fishman wanted to make it clear that these transactions had nothing to do with Joe Biden's political role or influence. He mentioned that James Biden was acting on his own, not using his brother's position to gain advantages in his business. But many still questioned why a company like AmeriCorps would loan such large sums to James Biden, especially when the company's expectation was that he could use his connections to deliver a significant investment from the Middle East. Was the use of the Biden name simply a business tactic, or was there something more? Even with the explanations provided, the situation remained complex, and many still speculated about how much Joe Biden might have known or been involved in. Joe Biden's stance. So, what exactly has Joe Biden said in response to all these claims and suspicions? Well, as the focus on Hunter Biden grew more intense during the 2020 campaign, reporters began pressing Joe Biden about his son's activities. Biden, standing firm, maintained that his son had done nothing wrong. He didn't waver, even as questions kept coming his way. In December 2022, when the news broke about the federal investigation into Hunter Biden, Joe Biden continued to show his support. He said he was proud of his son and expressed that he was,
My son was in Iraq. He spent a year there. He got the Bronze Star.
Hunter had done nothing wrong. The president's words suggested a father's unwavering belief in his son. Yet even with this, the whispers of special treatment continued to grow. Many believed that the Biden family might have been given special favors by those within the Biden administration. These critics think that the family got advantages others wouldn't have received if they weren't related to the president. This belief is largely based on the testimony of 2 IRS whistleblowers. These whistleblowers accused high-ranking officials in the Justice Department of dragging their feet and slowing down the investigation into Hunter Biden. They said these officials were blocking efforts to follow important leads and were interfering in the investigation. When it comes to the impeachment inquiry, Biden seems to shrug it off. He treats it like a mere distraction, something meant to sidetrack from more important issues. The White House, too, has dismissed the inquiry. They called it a stunt and told House Republicans to move on. Many people see this inquiry as a response to the 2 impeachments of former President Donald Trump, a way to get back at the Democrats for what happened during Trump's term. Now, with President Biden no longer running for re-election, there's a sense of uncertainty hanging in the air. What happens next? No one knows for sure. There are so many questions and so many threads that still feel loose and unsettled. Looking back, it's clear that these claims, the responses, and the investigations have created a complex web. Each piece of the story seems to be tangled with another, making it hard to see a clear path forward. Every word, every document, every statement has been scrutinized and debated. And now, with no clear end in sight, it feels like the saga is far from over. Whether one believes the allegations or dismisses them, this chapter in American politics is sure to keep people talking for a long time. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.